Hey guys, welcome to my video series on graphing functions by hand. And in this video, I'm going to go through how to sketch a quadratic function, i.e. a parabola, using the intercept form, which is just a fancy way of saying write the equation in factored form. Now before I begin, I'm going to go through the very basics for a minute, then I'll show you the general rule for a quadratic function, and then the steps that you need to take to sketch the graph of a parabola using the intercept form. The basic rule for a parabola is y is equal to x squared, and its graph looks something like this. This is a positive parabola, and it's like a U curve opening upwards, and it has a turning point at the point 0, 0. A negative parabola is y is equal to minus x squared, and its graph looks something like this, where the curve opens up downwards. In general, we write a quadratic function as y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. And now, here's the 4 steps that you need to take to sketch parabolas when written in this form. The first step is to determine whether this is going to be a positive or a negative parabola. To do this, we just look at the coefficient of the x squared term and see if it's a positive or a negative number. And if it's positive, then the curve will open up upwards, and if it's negative, then the curve will open downwards. The second step is to factorize the given rule. For this video, we'll work through some examples that can be factorized. For quadratics that can't be factorized, to sketch the graph you either have to complete the square and convert the rule into turning point form, or use the quadratic formula to work out the x-intercepts. Now I've made another video on how to sketch the graph of a parabola when written in turning point form, and I'll leave a link to that video at the end of this video if you want to watch that too. For the third step, we need to work out the x and y intercepts. And the fourth step is to label all these on the axes and then sketch the graph. And that's it for the basics. Let's look at some examples. Sketch the graphs of the following. Part A, y is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 8. For the first step, looking at the coefficient of the x squared term, this is positive, and so this means the shape of the graph is going to be in this form. For the second step, we need to factorize the quadratic expression, and so we need two numbers that multiply to give 8 and add or subtract to give 6. And so factorizing this, we're going to get y is equal to x plus 2, x plus 4. The third step is to work out the x and y intercepts. For the y-intercept, it's easier to use the general form. And so we're going to let x is equal to 0, and solving for y is just going to be 0 squared plus 6 times 0, which is 0, and then plus 8, which is just going to be 8. And so the y-intercept is going to be 8. For the x-intercept, we let y is equal to 0 and then solve for x. Now solving for the x-intercept, what we do is let the factored form equal 0 and then solve for x. And so we're going to let x plus 2 times x plus 4 equal 0 and then solve for x. And so solving for x, we're going to get x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x plus 4 is going to equal 0, which means x is equal to minus 2, or x is equal to minus 4. And so the x-intercepts are going to be when x is equal to minus 2 and when x is equal to minus 4. And now for the last step, all we need to do is mark this on the axes and then sketch a positive parabola. And so on the axes, we're marking the x and y intercepts and then sketch a positive parabola passing through these points. Part B, y is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 63. Looking at the coefficient of the x squared term, this is positive, and so the graph is going to be in this form. For the second step, we need to factorize this expression. And so we need two numbers that multiply to give minus 63 and add to give positive 2. And so this is going to be the numbers minus 7 and then plus 9. And so in factorized form, this is going to be x minus 7 times x plus 9. Then we need to work out the x and y intercepts. For the y-intercept, we let x is equal to 0 and then solve for y. And so this is going to be y is equal to minus 63. For the x-intercept, we let y is equal to 0 and solve for x, and we use the factorized form. And so x minus 7 times x plus 9 is going to equal 0. Solving for x, we're going to get x minus 7 is equal to 0, or x plus 9 is going to equal 0, which means x is equal to 7, or x is equal to minus 9. And so the x-intercepts are going to be at 7 and at minus 9. And the last step is to label these on the axes and then sketch a positive parabola. And so drawing the axes, we're marking the x and y intercepts and then sketching a positive parabola passing through these points. Part C. Y is equal to minus x squared plus 2x plus 3. The coefficient of the x squared term is negative, and so this means the graph is going to be in this form. The second step is to factorize this expression. Now, because we've got a negative in front of the x squared, when you want to factorize this, what you should do is make the coefficient of the x squared term positive. And so to make it positive, we need to divide by a negative 1. In other words, take out negative 1 as a common factor. And so if we do that, we're going to get minus and then x squared minus 2x minus 3. And now factorizing what's inside the brackets, we need two numbers that multiply to give minus 3 and add to give minus 2. And so this is going to be minus 3n plus 1. And so in factorized form, this is going to be minus then x minus 3 times x plus 1. Then we want to work out the x and y intercepts. For the y-intercept, we let x is equal to 0, and so this is just going to be y is equal to 3. For the x-intercept, we let y is equal to 0 and then solve for x. And so using the factored form, minus x minus 3 times x plus 1 is going to equal 0. And so this means that x minus 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is going to equal 0. Solving for x is equal to 3, or x is equal to minus 1. And so the x-intercepts are going to be at 3 and at minus 1. And now all we do is mark this on the axis and then sketch a negative parabola, which is the step 4. And so on the axes, we're marking the x and y intercepts, and then sketch a negative parabola passing through these points. And that's it for this video. Hope you found it helpful, and if you did or didn't, comment yes or no below so I know. And don't forget to watch my other video series on how to sketch functions by hand. Good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next video.